Hi and welcome to a new devlog of my indie game Raidborn, which is a first-person sandbox action RPG set in an adventurous fantasy world. Follow me along and enjoy interesting behind-the-scenes footage and actively participate in the development of the game. But now let's see what I have for you today. Adding detail to the King's Hall, creating castle rooms such as a tavern, a brewery, and more. I know it's been a while since I last uploaded a devlog video, but fear not, the time has come for me to come back. And before we get into the cool stuff, before I show you what I've brought with me today, let me tell you one thing, and that is that in the last info video I said that I'm going to do a major update to the series, to the devlog series, and this video here and the upcoming video and maybe a few more videos in the future, they have not received this update yet because I haven't created it, because I'm still working on the website for the game. That's what I'm currently doing. And I just was too excited to come back to YouTube, so you know, I had 2 devlogs prepared before I was leaving YouTube for a while, and I just decided to produce them, and here we are. So old-fashioned videos. I did some minor improvements and updates. You have seen this in the intro already probably, and yeah, just wanted to let you know. And I will also upload the videos bi-weekly for the moment, and I will see if I will stick to that upload schedule or change it, but I will tell you when the time has come. Now let's talk about Raidborn. So the first thing I have to show you is how I built the detail for the King's Hall. And before I get into the actual level design and explain what I did and how I did it, let me give you a short explanation of the random level generation system Raidborn has, because you may wonder why I place all those objects by hand when there is a level generation system. Well, generally there are different kind of tiles. This, for example, here, the King's Hall is an end tile where the level can get completed and where the boss enemy is located, and if you kill the boss enemy, the level is basically complete. And the reason why I'm placing a lot of stuff by hand is to have control over the items and the objects that are placed in a tile. And some of those objects are maybe already or will later convert into a so-called object collection, which is nothing more than an object spawner that picks a random object of a certain type, so that it makes sense that it is placed there. I place that collection there, and then if all those collections spawn different kind of objects, the room or the tile or whatever looks different every time it gets generated or spawned. And those tiles also get connected by each other by the generators, so that's something I don't have to do, connecting the parts, but I have to place the different details and take care that it makes sense and it looks good. And it just helps me having control over the detail in a level. As always, I made use of some cool environmental storytelling pieces to give the levels more life, to make them more interesting to explore, and to also make them more visual pleasing. And here you can see something that I thought could be like a rebellion of the peasants that fought against the guards of the king, for example, because they were not really happy in the castle or something like that. And that is why you see that battlefield here. Of course, it's quite some time ago because they're already skeletons. But yeah, that's stuff that I think makes levels more interesting and also just looks cool. And I think it also could make for some cool screenshots, for example. So it's always nice to have something like that. And yeah, I think especially because I have a random generation system, it helps to make everything feel more natural and more believable and also more interesting. When I was adding detail to the actual throne room where the boss enemy will later spawn, I wanted to place a very large kind of king's table, you know, like a diner table where the king can invite guests or just have dinner with his queen or stuff like that, or celebrate a party, that kind of stuff. But I actually didn't have one, so I had to model one. And the interesting thing about it is that it shows the advantage of being an indie developer. Like, I'm just building this level and designing this level, and they recognize, hey, I don't have that kind of asset, and I can just do it by myself, you know, because I have to do everything by myself anyway, and there is no communication involved. You know, I can just do it. I don't have to discuss with anyone if that makes sense or if there are enough resources to do it and that kind of stuff. I can just do it, and that's pretty cool, and that's also a lot of fun to do. By the way, the reason the lighting in the scene looks pretty bad here is simply because it's disabled. And that's something I do to get better performance in the editor, and that's something you want when you're building levels. Everything should be as fast and snappy as possible. And even here, if I enable the lighting, it doesn't really represent the final visual quality of the game. Really, correct lighting and doing some minor adjustments to the objects and replacing objects that don't really fit well into the scene and post effects can have a dramatic effect. And to not only promise this, but to also prove this, I prepared a small example. So here we can see a screenshot of an exterior level I did some time ago for a thumbnail. And as you can see, the lighting, although it is enabled and stuff, and there are also some effects going on, it doesn't really look that good. It doesn't really pop out. It's nothing really special. So that is the before, now the after. And as you can see, the difference is really dramatic. The effects, the lighting, the few minor adjustments I did, like replacing the trees and stuff like that, the change is really dramatic. And that is something you can also expect from the castle levels. Although I think the castle levels already look pretty okay, although the lighting, for example, I think it's way too bright. I think dungeons should be, or especially the castle, should be pretty dark. In the last step, I added some traps to this level tile. And yeah, I just would like to make use of that feature, of course, and I try to edit at places where it makes sense. In that case here, it's a spike trap you can kick enemies into. Here you can see the King's Hall in action in the game from a first-person perspective. I added some post effects and stuff, but generally it's still not really polished, and yeah, I have to change a lot of things. For example, I think it's a little bit too bright, and there are too many items lying around, that kind of stuff. And I think I also am going to do one last final level design iteration for all level types, like the caves, especially the exterior levels, and also the castle. Although in a previous video I said that this can be considered more or less final, but I think I have just to do some adjustments to make the levels a tiny little bit smaller, because I think there's just too much space. It feels a little bit weird, and I also would like to make it a little bit easier for me to build all those levels and to fill them with details. The next thing I have to show are some castle side tile details. And what you see me building here is the storage, or is a storage room, better said. Previously, I have explained the level generation system and how it works, and I also said that the side tiles are what give the level complexity, and they're basically the branches of the level construct, which goes like, there's a start tile, there comes a separator, a main tile, and there's end tile. That's basically the logic of a castle, and then there are the branches, which are the side tiles, just that you understand what they are. And that also means that they appear more often than, for example, a start tile or an end tile, which always just appear once, obviously. So that means that they need more variety in detail, and that's also the reason why I created 3 different details, so you can get a first impression here what I mean by different kind of detail levels. So the room is always the same, but the detail is different. And here you can see the storage, or the final result of this storage room I built. Then I also built this very cool brewery, which is my favorite tile detail of this particular tile. And I again made use of those herbs I created in a previous video where I was creating a brewery for the Goblin Caves. And here you can see the last detail I built for the side tile, and I think now you can understand a little bit better what I mean with different details. So now this tile, for example, can be a storage room, can be a brewery or a tavern, although the architecture is basically the same. And by the way, I think the side tile details can pretty much be considered final, especially because those tile details you see here are already optimized. I already fixed some issues, because back then when I was first creating those tiles, I forgot to record it, so I had to pre-record it. So those tile details you see here in action are already fixed, you know, kind of. I may do some minor adjustments, but generally I would consider them more or less final. Okay, that was it for today. I hope you get a good time watching, and I'm now really excited to hear your thoughts about the game, because in the end you're the judge. What do you think about the new King's Hall? You know, I still will work on it, so if you tell me your feedback now, I can you know, write it down and try to apply it to the last and final level iteration I'm hopefully going to do. You know, I don't want to overdo things, and I would like to, you know, finish the game at some point. And I'm also really excited to show you all the new stuff that's coming, the website and all cool stuff that's coming together with the website and the new devlog videos. So tell me your thoughts, and as always, stay cool, and see you not next week, but in 2 weeks. Goodbye.